Regarding who is really behind controlling Zhongnanhai, although the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, has sent increasingly more signals indicating that party leaders have lost military control and party power has been weakened because their public activities still dominate the spotlight, many people who do not understand the internal workings of the CCP remain doubtful. On May 20th, the CCP's official media, the People's Daily, once again sent a very clear signal on its front page. The CCP will begin implementing the 15th five-year plan starting in 2026 and is currently drafting planning proposals. On that day, the official media reported that Xi Jinping recently issued important instructions regarding the preparation of the 15th five-year plan, emphasizing, "We must adhere to scientific decision-making, democratic decision-making, and rule-of-law decision-making, integrating top-level design with soliciting opinions from the people, and complete the drafting work of the plan with high quality." The main headline of the news was, "Adhere to scientific decision-making, democratic decision-making, rule-of-law decision-making, and complete the high-quality drafting of the 15th five-year plan." If compared with the news published in August 2020 by official media titled, "Xi Jinping issues important instructions on the preparation of the 14th five-year plan," an anomaly can be noticed. At that time, Xi Jinping did not mention the three types of decision-making at all, but emphasized opening up to solicit strategies, gathering wisdom, integrating strengthening top-level design with soliciting opinions from the people. Why was there no mention 5 years ago, but after 5 years these three decision-making types are brought up? In fact, scientific decision-making, democratic decision-making, and rule-of-law decision-making are products from the Hu-Wen era, Hu Jintao and Wen Jiabao, who mentioned these repeatedly during their 2 terms. In 2003, the working rules of the State Council under Wen Jiabao proposed 3 principles: implement scientific and democratic decision-making, uphold administration according to law, and strengthen administrative supervision, which in 2004 were incorporated into the Comprehensive Implementation Plan for Law-Based Administration. In April 2005, Hu Jintao at the Central Military Commission proposed to improve and perfect the systems of democratic decision-making, scientific decision-making, and rule-of-law decision-making. In March 2006, when inspecting an Air Force unit, Hu Jintao reiterated these 3 decision-making types. Furthermore, in the CCP's 17th National Congress report in 2007, at the 2010 party-wide conference summarizing the study and practice of the scientific outlook on development, and in the 18th National Congress report in 2012, Hu Jintao clearly mentioned these 3 decision-making types. In August 2010, at the National Conference on Law-Based Administration, Wen Jiabao also spoke about these 3 decision-making types. This explains why during Xi Jinping's term, especially after the 19th National Congress when power peaked and one supreme leader was emphasized, mentions of these 3 decision-making types became very rare. This change had actually surfaced since rumors about Xi Jinping's stroke at the CCP's 3rd plenary session last July. On August 10, 2024, the People's Liberation Army Daily and the Military Network published a major news article titled, "Uphold Scientific Decision-Making, Democratic Decision-Making, and Rule-of-Law Decision-Making." According to the article, the Reader on Democratic Centralism, recently compiled by the Political Bureau of the Central Military Commission, has been released to the entire military. Upholding scientific decision-making, democratic decision-making, and rule-of-law decision-making, and continuously improving the quality and standards of decisions is a major practical issue that party organizations at all levels must address in order to effectively study and implement the Reader on Democratic Centralism, the article stated. The entire piece emphasized that decision-making in the military must no longer rely on impulsiveness or one-size-fits-all actions. It opposed autocratic personalist decision-making and the one-voice-only approach. Going forward, the military must persist in making decisions based on science, democracy, and the rule of law. These views are in stark contrast to the previous practices of the CCP's top leadership. When the CCP leader publicly had Hu Jintao escorted out of the hall during the 20th Party Congress, while concentrating power solely in his own hands, directing all areas and matters, the internal party structure essentially became a one-voice-only system. The other Politburo Standing Committee members were almost ceremonial. Yet now the military is taking the lead in clearly emphasizing the decision-making principles championed by the Hu-Wen era and reviving democratic centralism, which had been absent for years. This is clearly abnormal. If this isn't a sign of a major shift, then what is? If Xi Jinping still held real power, would such directives be issued? Let's examine two additional clear signals from the Hu-Wen era that have recently resurfaced. First, before and on May 4th, the May 4th Youth Day, established by the CCP, official media launched a rare campaign not seen in recent years: high-level praise and encouragement for the youth. Even issue number 9 of Chuxi magazine, published on April 30th and overseen by the CCP Central Committee, featured 5 articles related to youth, with authors ranging from the party's General Secretary, the Central Committee, the Communist Youth League Central Committee, the Central Youth League School, to young students, a lineup not seen in the past 5 years. This clearly hints at the resurgence of the Tuanpai Youth League faction, once marginalized in the CCP's political arena. Second, on May 15th, the Central Committee and state agencies held a youth exchange conference in Beijing. Again, a rare occurrence in recent years. This too could bear the imprint of Hu and Wen. In February of this year, overseas independent commentator Kai Shenken revealed on social media platform X and his YouTube channel that his friends had told him, Xi Jinping no longer holds real power, and 3 elder statesmen born in 1942 have temporarily taken over control of the CCP. Second, military power is in the hands of Zhang Yuxia, while Xi's position as chairman of the Central Military Commission is nominal only. Xi Jinping's resignation is just waiting for an official announcement, most likely at the 4th plenary session, and no later than next year. Later, Kai specifically identified the 3 elder figures as Hu Jintao, Wen Jiabao, and Hu Deping. Judging from the clear signals sent in the past month, all evidence points to Hu and Wen now holding the reins of power. Otherwise, the policies they once advocated and the activities of the Youth League faction would not be resurfacing so publicly.
Are embarrassed to be downgraded. People have an image of the lives of women from small cities. They have no mortgage or car loan, no worries about food and clothing, and don't have to work hard in the workplace. Although their cash flow is not much, they spend as much as they earn, and a sense of relaxation permeates all aspects of their lives. But in reality, under the current wave of severe economic recession in China, the ladies of 3rd and 4th tier cities have also downgraded their consumption. I haven't eaten at Haidilao in a long time. On the night after dinner at Haidilao, Ru and her colleagues went to the underground parking lot to pick up the car. She enthusiastically led the way for her new colleague Li Lin, saying that she could reach the one-way street by turning left. As a result, she walked a long way before realizing that the road was blocked. She explained awkwardly, "Sorry, I haven't eaten at Haidilao in a long time because I'm so poor." The women laughed and soon shared their experiences of downgraded consumption. Li Lin, who had returned to her hometown of a 4th-tier city from the provincial capital a year ago, used to invite friends to dinner once a week. Gradually, the frequency of dinners decreased until it became once a month. If Ru hadn't suggested they eat together, the new colleagues would still be a bit unfamiliar because they didn't gather often and didn't have the chance to gossip and chat. 4 years ago, Haidilao's opening was a landmark event in the consumption upgrade of Shaanxi's 4th-tier cities. When Haidilao and Starbucks came to town, it was a sign that the area was evolving. Her boyfriend had boasted that with Haidilao, Starbucks, Pizza Hut, and Wanda, their big city would soon be a new fourth-tier city. At that time, she didn't think much of it, feeling there was nothing to be proud of. Finance sister Liu recalled that before Haidilao came to town, her family would drive 200 kilometers to the provincial capital just to have a meal there. Now that I think about it, it was really luxurious. When Haidilao first opened, if customers chose it, they felt they were being treated specially. During the Chinese New Year, Sister Liu tried to have a meal with her family, but was shocked to find the place packed. The wait was at least 3 hours. After the 8th day of the Lunar New Year, once work resumed, it became harder to find the previous scene of just walking in and eating right away. People in small cities don't dare to spend money casually, is Ru's feeling over the past 2 years. As a former migrant worker in Shenzhen, when she first returned to marry into a family in a small city, she enjoyed the relaxation of being able to spend freely. Her husband is an only child with a stable job. Ru married into a family that is considered well off in a small city. They often visit places like Wanda Plaza, and her mother-in-law buys bosideng down jackets for everyone as soon as winter comes. Every year, Ru's family drives thousands of miles to Hainan for the Spring Festival, playing their way back to another home, making her colleagues envious. Her husband's friends are also second-generation locals, and they gather often to talk about high-end secrets, such as who knows whom, who has connections in Beijing, and who is paving the way for whom. Changes happened unconsciously. Ru remembered once when she and her husband were out walking with their baby, and the rubber-soled socks the child was learning to walk in fell off. They cost more than 10 yuan a pair. Normally, she wouldn't have bothered looking for them, but that day she and her husband chose to go back the same way to pick them up. This was one of the iconic moments. Before marriage, she sought different life experiences. She had no fixed job and would quit if she didn't like it. She loved traveling and flew to many countries. When she wanted to buy a car, she borrowed more than 100,000 yuan online. After giving birth, she only wore work clothes and applied baby cream to moisturize her skin. She didn't post on WeChat moments for a long time, feeling like there was nothing worth posting. Her only act of self-care was to treat herself to a 48 yuan head massage every 2 weeks. Li Lin's story. Li Lin is also part of the middle class who retreated to a small city. She and her husband worked in the provincial capital for many years. They witnessed the peak of the real estate industry and regret not switching to sales to buy a few houses. Now, with the real estate market in decline and 2 companies having collapsed, her husband is managing to survive. But Li Lin is struggling. The group has withdrawn all its projects in North China, and she lost her job, forcing her to return to her hometown. There are few job options in small cities. Li Lin's salary has drastically dropped, and her new job only allows 1 day off. Her parents are in poor health and can't help with the children's homework. Li Lin is exhausted caring for her 2 children alone and has no time for herself. Naturally, her consumption has also been downgraded. Her husband still works in the provincial capital and goes home every week to reunite with them. At first, they took the high-speed rail back and forth, but after a while, he began carefully calculating and drove, earning tolls along the way.